What's up? What's up? What's up? What's up, everybody? This is the Sugarhill Gang Podcast, and you are definitely being entertained and invited to come on down with, of course, myself, the Master G, and I'm joined by my peoples, my family, my brothers, my soldiers in the game. Say what up, T Dynasty. What's up, T Dynasty?
What's up, T Dynasty?
And my boy, my man, my pots and pans, the Diggy and Diggity. What up, Dig?
Wakanda forever, baby.
Wakanda forever. Yes, I understand that. And today, 1990, Chubb Rock's on the scene with it. Ladies and gentlemen, the Chubb Rock himself, Chubb Rock in the building.
Hey guys, what's going on?
What up, Chubb? How you, man?
Man, we here, man. We here.
No doubt.
We definitely here, man. We definitely here, man. We are so honored. We are so privileged, and we are so thankful.
Yes.
And let me put it out here, just to make sure everybody knows. You know, we've been around each other for decades. We've seen each other. We've been in the same space. We've, moved through the same air. We've, shared the same stage. We've been through, similar dramas. So Chubb is a true person that I consider a friend. I always admire him.
Absolutely.
I think he's an outstanding man and a phenomenal performer. So thanks, Chubb, for coming on, man, and hanging out with us on the podcast. How are you, brother? What's going on?
Anytime, man. Anytime. We're out here trying to dodge the evils, man.
Yeah.
Trying to dodge the evils that's out here, unfortunately. And we got 28 days until the election.
Yeah.
Preparing for that. Trying to get people to understand that their vote counts and, push that narrative so they can get to the polls with all these tricks going on.
Yeah.
And, we're just ready, man. We're ready to try to take this thing by storm.
Yes. So Chubb, okay, while we got you, and we do this with everybody that comes on the show, tell us your Rapper's Delight story. Tell us your first experience of, when you heard it, or whatever your reality for the song or us was about. Where were you? What was that? Talk to us about that.
Well, I've said it in many interviews, man. It was my 6th grade prom song. That was the only song we played. My teacher was Mr. Epstein. He gave us I think maybe a 2-hour prom. PS 198 in Brooklyn, right there on Farragut Road. And we had a 2-hour prom, and we only brought 2 records. That's all we had was 2 records. We had Rapper's Delight, and then we had Super Rapper.
Oh, wow,
and
yeah.
So all we did was play from back to back, because Rapper's Delight at that time, we had the long
15,
version.
Right.
It was about 9
minutes.
minutes long.
Yeah.
And that, for 2 hours, we played 2 records. And
everybody loved it.
I don't even think Mr. Epstein really understood what was getting played. He just knew that we never stopped dancing. And, for us, it was like, wow, like, what is this? Like, what do you call this? And this is obviously something different from R&B, and this is something different from, the rock boys and the pop boys, and this is something different. This ain't the Jackson 5. This ain't the Silvers and like that. All of a sudden, it's this new phenomenon, man. And so I know exactly where I was, man. I'm telling you, we bought the record at a flea market called the Glenwood Flea Market, which was about a block away on Glenwood Avenue, right around the corner from the Enterman's warehouse.
Wow.
And that's what we bought. Yeah, that's what we bought the record.
That's in the hook, ain't it?
Huh?
That was in the hook, wasn't it?
No. That was right in Flatbush, Brooklyn.
Oh, right in Flatbush? Okay.
Yeah, Flatbush, Brooklyn. And that was it, man. I know exactly where I was when that record played. I remember exactly where I was when I first seen the video of it. There was a TV show in New York at the time called Hot Tracks.
Mm-hmm.
And the only rap everything I've ever seen on there played was the Sugarhill Gang video. But you guys rocking at like some at a
disco
party with a disco ball up there and all that.
Yeah, Soul Factory disco.
Yeah, that was just there's you guys, and then a little bit later, then I would see a video of like Run DMC or Fat Boys and stuff like that. But it was always you know Sugarhill Gang.
Wow.
So Chubb, okay. How did you get what inspired you? Because of course, you know, we do homework on everybody. Let me get this right, and I want to make sure I say this right. You were in college studying you were pre-med? You were a pre-med student in college?
What I wanted, it was more of an advanced sciences, but I wanted to be a doctor.
Wow.
But that went along simultaneously with loving hip hop.
Okay.
And then it was like a tug of war, right? So you have school pulling you this way, music pulling you that way.
Right.
And we were all in school. Like if you ever watched the Soul Train episode of my show, when I went on Soul Train with Don Cornelius, he went through all of us, and because he was shocked that we had to go home. Like we couldn't spend the night, we couldn't do anything. Like when we did that show, we had to all go home because we was all still in school. So I was in school, Hot Dog was in school, Swinger was in school. Everybody was still in college.
Wow.
And we had to just like ask our parents, can we just take this little trip real quick
to Cali, right?
To go to California. And from the time we were there, we were all trying to get on as quick as we can so we can get back. And
Wow.
Don Cornelius was like, what's the rush? And what's this? And we was like, sir, we got to go back to school. And he couldn't believe it. He was like, nah, you guys are in school? And we had to show him my school IDs and say, yo, man, I'm in school. Dog is in school. Swing is in school. Everybody's in school. It's like, hey, we got Caribbean parents. And if we don't get back to school, there's going to be a lot of problems.
So
we were all in school, man. We were all, I wanted to be a doctor. Swinger wanted to be an engineer. Dog wanted to be a teacher. Swanee wanted to be an engineer. So, I mean, we all just had these thoughts, you know, when you're in the Caribbean community, that is like number one.
Right.
And then, you know, music started to kind of develop, and we were fans starting from the Sugarhill Gang records and then Fat Boys in Brooklyn. And when we seen the Fat Boys get in there, we was like, wait, these are guys like us.
Yeah, right.
You know,
right.
They're from up the street up here, and how can we do this? And then my cousin Howie T got into music because he had a group called CD3.
Mm-hmm.
They had a record called Get Tough. And once he started taking off, and then he started working with UTFO and Full Force. And then while I was in school, I would get a couple of dollars to like write things and write hooks or whatever for different people. Mm-hmm. And then he was like, yo, the label wants you to do something. And Doc Ice from UTFO was like, yo, they want you to do something. Let's get this record together. And I was like, cool. So we kind of had to do that on the weekends. And then we got the record deal. And again, it was this tug of war.
Right.
And then, you know, it took a while to really get something going on the record side, because our first record really didn't do well in the New York area. It did well like in Ohio, and that's when I knew that there was a different place for hip hop, because it done well in Ohio and St. Louis. And that's how I got to meet NWA, because we opened for NWA. And then I would go back to Brooklyn and tell them, yo, man, there's these guys from California killing it over here. And they would be like, what are you talking about, man? We never heard of whoever you talking about, you know? So,
well,
you know,
how did you get the name Chubb Rock?
It was a friend of mine, Kango Kid from UTFO, his cousin.
Shout out to Kango.
Shout out, that's my boy.
Yeah, Kango Kid, who again was a legend in our area, in the Flatbush area. And the Flatbush area is a Caribbean area, and he's from Haiti, and our family's from Jamaica. And, you know, we got all this Caribbean people here. His cousin was a guy named Stan Desire. and that was one of my close friends still to this day. And he gave me that name. He gave me that name because I had a terrible name before that. It was Gemini Rich.
Oh boy! Thank God.
And,
Gemini Rich.
Thank you.
Those things didn't need to happen.
Thank you.
and he looked at me one day and he was like, nah, I don't like that name. I don't like that name. You're gonna be Chubb Rock. And I was like, okay, cool. I'll take that name. Yeah. So, you know, that came down with, again, because that neighborhood is so small, everybody kind of helped each other. Like, Tango.
Are you there? Okay, you're good.
Yeah, Tango and Howie produced a group called Whistle
Mm-hmm.
that had that record, Just Buggin'.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah.
Howie and Doc Ice came together to put me out. You know,
How we
got
the
together.
Hitman, right? The hit
right.
man. You talking about the Hitman? Okay.
Yeah, him and Howie T. And then Howie put on Special Ed.
Right.
He did
right.
Special Ed.
Oh my God, I love that song.
Yeah, me and Howie put together and a group called ESP, and then me and one of the guys from ESP and Howie put out another MC in our neighborhood called Little Sean.
That's your cousin, right? Howie, is that your cousin?
Yeah.
Cousin?
It's my first cousin.
Yeah, okay.
So again, we all looked out for each other, like, because again, it's a small neighborhood.
Yeah.
You know, so a lot of it started in Howie's basement, my basement, and we all just kind of helped each other with records because everybody was on a time limit, right? Everybody was on a time limit as far as your parents giving you enough time to really see if this is going to do anything before you had to go back to what life should have been.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, we're going to give you a certain period of time because Howie was like electrical technician. He went to school for that. He can fix drum machine. He can fix anything,
Right.
you know. But his love, again, even though he went to school for all of that, his love was still music. And then he you know, we didn't really want to be job people. We wanted to be entrepreneurs and stuff like that. And then I had friends that continued and became doctors, and they would come to my shows and they would tell people, yo, Chubb went to school with us and he was smarter than me, or this and this. But he wanted to do music and we supported him doing music, and they did. They were like, yo, Rich, if you really want to do it, go and try it. And luckily for me, my mom, as a Caribbean woman, when she came to America, she had an opportunity to go to California, get into acting, and she didn't do it. She said, okay, nah, I can't do that. I'm going to finish school, and then I'm going to have my baby, which was me, and this and that. And she went that route. And she always said to herself, man, I wonder what would have happened. So when I wanted to do my thing, she didn't want me to have one of those, I wonder. You know, so she said, go and try that because school ain't going nowhere. If it doesn't happen, you just go back. But you won't have those regrets. Like I never even knew she had those regrets because I'm like, oh, I just thought you didn't want to pursue it, and then you didn't want to pursue it. I didn't think that it was something that stayed on your mind for decades. You know, so she didn't want me to have that kind of scenario. So she was like, yo, go try it. And then she was always the biggest supporter because when I wanted to come up with an idea, she paid to press it. Press it. When I did a song for a guy named Izzy Ice from the neighborhood, she was like, nah, just go and find out how you press the record and run around and try to give it to the DJs and gave it to Red Alert. And, you know, so we kind of did our thing on our own before the labels really came calling and stuff. And that's because she funded it, because she wanted to.
She believed in you. She believed in you. She totally believed in you.
Yeah, go. You know, they ain't nothing like a mom, yo.
That's what I was going to say. I was going to say it's incredible when you start getting into the history of people, how significant because most of us, I don't know if you have both your parents coming up. You have both your parents, Chubb?
Yeah.
Or was it just okay? Well, in that situation, but a lot of us had, the main person was the mom, and in a lot of situations, even in a dual parent situation, the mother always seemed to be like the support. The father, let's say, or the male figure was kind of like the person that you either emulated or you didn't emulate, but the mother was the one that gave you the energy. She had the spirit. She had the like my mother. My mother was extremely, instrumental in me, pursuing what I wanted to do. She never, like your mom, she was always behind, going with it, yeah, man, go for it. You know what I mean? It's like, what's the worst that can happen? You know what I mean? Rather to do it and know that you did it than to never have the experience of doing it. And like you said, man, live that regret, man. When
my dad was very supportive too. He was very supportive, but again, he wasn't as Americanized as my mother, so he really didn't understand the music, that vibe. He just kind of said, okay, my son is into this, so whatever you need from me, but he didn't understand it as much as my mother did, because she had a little bit more, she was a little more Americanized.
Right.
My father was more straight Jamaican kind of vibe. So he didn't understand it, but he was like, hey, if this is what's making you smile and you like this, and you see I'm getting up early in the morning, I'm working at it, then he's like, okay, well, whatever you need, just let me know. And he believed in anything that was positive, right? So he was like, hey, man, it's positive stuff. And then luckily, the other rappers from that neighborhood, the UTFOs and Fat Boy, these are all good guys and great guys, and they were, very mannerable and everything. And he liked that. He was just like, man, these are young guys trying to do something. And he was very supportive as well.
That's positive, extremely positive. Yeah. It's a beautiful thing to hear, man, really.
Yeah, and also too, man, tell us a little bit about, how the Trackmasters became the Trackmasters after, working with you, being in the studio and stuff like that. Because, Trackmasters are world known as, being some of the best producers that ever produced, in the music industry.
Man, what happened was I went to go do a show with Guru, with Gangstar, rest in peace, Guru, and with Finesse and Sequence group on Uptown Records. They had a song called Soul Sister. And we went and did a show together. We all was on the same bus, because again, we're all from this area in Brooklyn. So we had no egos. We was like, hey man, we could save money going on this one bus, because we were going to Philly. We was going to Philly. No, we were going to DC to do the show, then Philly to do the show. Then we did a show in Newark, and then we came back to Brooklyn. So we all went on this bus for the weekend, and we did those shows. And when we was on the bus, Finesse Sequence, they came to me and they said, yo, Rich, we're trying to get an album with Uptown, with Andre, and we need to do some demos. Is there any way you could write a couple of songs for us? So I said, sure. I said, no problem. And she said, well, I got a friend of mine who's trying to get his name out there as a producer. He makes his beats and stuff. Maybe you can meet him, and maybe you guys can come up with something, for the song, for the demos for Andre. So I said, cool, no problem. So when she gave me the address, I said, wait a second, I know this block because my closest friend in the world, he lives on this block, right? Which is Rob Swinger. So, and you guys met Rob Swinger. He DJs for me.
Yeah, right. Absolutely.
So when I get on the block, and I met Tone, which was Red Hot Lover Tone, and him and Sequence, they went to school together. So, straight, again, Brooklyn, this little area here. And then he brought me to Alice Richburg's house right on that block. And we're talking about music. And I brought a couple of ideas with me. And then Frankie came. And so it was like these group of guys that were friends, but they didn't really have this name yet. There was no name to it yet. It was just a couple of guys. Right. And then, so I wrote a couple of songs for Finesse Sequence, and Sequence took it up to Andre, to see if he would go for the album. And he said, yo, well, let me meet the people that was involved. And so he asked me to come up there, and Frankie came. I think it was me and Frankie. I think it was just me and Frankie and Polka went up there. I can't remember. I think it was on, and Swinger. I think it was only the four of us that went up there. And Andre was like, yo, Chubb, so I want you just to write the whole album. And so I said, oh, okay, cool. And he said, so I got all kinds of producers. Just tell me what producers you want. We got the whole crew here, because he had everybody, Pete Rock and the great Eddie F. And I mean, he had access to everybody. So he had Teddy Riley up there.
Right.
And so but I was like, yo, man, I like working with these cats because they're from my neighborhood and we kind of just gel with each other. There's no egos. I bring ideas, they bring ideas, and we just kind of get it done. Let's just give us a shot to knock out the album. And he was like, cool. I got X amount of dollars. I don't have no big budget. I learned from Howie. We never went to big studios. We did everything at the crib.
Right.
So we were like, nah, we don't mind, man. And then all of a sudden we had a conversation. What are we going to call this? And then I think it was Poke that might have came up with the name and said, yo, let's call it Trackmasters, man. And blah, blah, blah. So we said, cool, let's go with that. So we did the Vanessa Quince album, which was pretty legendary because on that album, I met a young lady at Chung King who was the receptionist at Chung King. And every time I would come up there to work on Vanessa Quince, she's always writing. And I'm like, what are you always writing in your book? And she said, oh, rhymes. I said, oh, I thought you were just a receptionist. I didn't know you rhyme. I said, spit something for me. Right. And she did. And I was like, oh, no, come on, let's go. And she was like, where am I going? I said, I'm putting you on this album, this Vanessa Quince album. And that was Lady of Rage.
What?
Yeah.
Wow.
That's how we met Lady of Rage. So I put her on the Vanessa Quince album, put her on the Treat 'Em Right album.
Yeah.
People might not know that she's on the Treat 'Em Right album with a song that I did with MC Searching Them. And so that's how the Trackmaster thing started. So then we did that project. Then we went and did the Real Roxanne project because I wrote that album.
Wow. I didn't know that.
Yeah, because I came in mainly as a writer on the L to make a couple of little dollars for school. You know what I'm saying? Right. So my whole thought process for me was I was going to just play the back. I was just going to play the back. But then, like I said, Howie and Doc Ice kind of brought me more to the front.
Right. They kind of promoted you to go ahead and do the Treat 'Em Right joint.
Right, to do my career as an artist myself instead of just writing. Because like I said, I was cool with just writing. I was cool in the back, just make a couple of dollars and no one don't even have to know I was even involved. But then when the Trackmaster thing came, and like I said, we did Vanessa Quince was first. That was the birth of it because of those ladies. And then we did the Real Roxanne project, and then we did Tone's album. Then we did the A-Team album. Then we did the Treat 'Em Right album. Like the second part of Treat 'Em Right album, because how we did the first part of Treat 'Em Right, the Treat 'Em Right album. And then we went on and did, man, there were so many projects, I can't even remember the names at this point, but we didn't.
So wait a minute. So you have a pretty heavy catalog of stuff that you have out here, man.
Yeah, man.
It's pretty serious.
As a writer.
Yeah.
Yes. As a writer.
Wow.
Because with my stuff, I got 5 albums that I did with Select. But again, on the writing side, there's all these other records.
Right. Yeah. That's what I'm saying.
And then at that point, then I met Al B. Shore, and that took it to a different level because Al got me involved with writing songs and writing stuff with him for his albums. And then we did Tevin Campbell, and then we did Boys in the Hood soundtrack stuff.
He just killed him.
Part of that.
Killed him.
Yeah.
Things you
So
don't know. Message.
So that was like on the side, just like Al B. Sure. People don't realize that he wrote all the big records for Jodeci. Forever My Lady, that's all Al's records.
Al wrote that?
Oh yeah. Forever My Lady. Forever My Lady.
Is Al and Devontae, right?
No.
Chubb.
Forever My Lady was only Al. Al wrote that.
Only Al Devontae? He just do okay.
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
Al wrote that song for Kim Porter, who passed away, unfortunately.
Yeah.
He wrote that.
She had the babies with Puffy.
Right.
Yeah, but her first child was with Al B. Shaw, with Al.
Right. That's right.
That's right.
That's right. You're right.
And he wrote that song for her. So Forever My Lady was written by Al. Al wrote all kinds of records on Uptown Records when it came to
man.
But he was cool with that too, man. Because remember, he's Caribbean too. He didn't mind playing the back.
Right.
There's a lot to be said about that, man. There's a lot to be said about what you keep saying.
Yeah, his plan was never to be in the front. His plan was always to be in the back.
In the back.
Writing song. Him and Kyle West was in the writing. When we did Tevin Campbell.
Quincy pushed him out there, right? Quincy made him get out front.
Yeah, it was Quincy and Harrell that said, no. You need to be out there in front. And I was like, no, I'm cool back here. I'll write the song.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So, again, people that write music and write so they don't run around with billboards on them.
Right.
Hey, I wrote that. I wrote this. I wrote that. I wrote that.
Right.
Right. Exactly.
We don't do stuff like that. So, but again, we just wanted to try to get our music out there, and
but
people see that we can make music.
But the thing and that's the reason why I wanted to really touch on that is because, I know, like I said, we know you well. I've known you for a long time, man. And, there's a certain amount of people that are thirsty for the limelight. There are certain people that move in that rhythm, and there's nothing wrong with that. If that's your reality, that's fine. But there's a certain something that goes with a cat like you, man, that you share that limelight, but it's not your existence. You know what I'm saying? It's a part of the deal, but it's not your deal. You follow what I mean by that?
Yeah, I mean, for me, man, I'm happiest if you just put me in a room with a couple of good musicians,
right? And
we came up with some songs,
right?
And some brilliant person goes and performs those songs,
right? Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? Right. And I've always felt that way for myself. I know Howie always felt that way. I mean, I Want to Sex You Up, Color Me Bad. Howie produced that record.
Wow.
Yeah.
And most people don't even know it because he's not.
I didn't know that.
Again, he's not running around with a billboard.
I knew
saying,
it. Yep.
Right. Oh, let me tell you about all the records that I produced. He did records with Naughty by Nature. He did records for Heavy D. He did records for all kinds of people. You know what I'm saying? We did records. Me and Howie did a record for Kashif.
What?
A record called Personality.
Oh man, I loved him. I loved Kashif. He was amazing, man. He was amazing.
Kashif lived in Brooklyn. So when he was working on his album, this is because he's the man at this point. He did Whitney Houston and stuff like that. So he wanted a little bit more of a little bit of a hip hop flavor, and he called me and Howie and he said, "Yo, I got this record, and I'm just not getting it. I'm not getting it." And we were like, "Yo, man, give us a little chance to attack that record." Mm-hmm. And we went to his brownstone. He was the only black man that even lived in Brooklyn Heights that I've ever seen. And he had the most beautiful studio in there. And he was just like, do whatever you want. And we was like, cool, we're going to try whatever. And then you're thinking, wait a second, this is
Kashif, right?
But he really gave us an opportunity to change up his record and loved it. And he put it out on his album and we had a chance to do a record with him. And he was the one that got us to do the Sinbad record, because we did a song for Sinbad back when they used to have comedy albums.
Right.
Right.
And Sinbad wanted a song on his comedy album. So he gave us an opportunity. Kashif hooked us up for that album and was able to knock that out. And then the Quincy Jones stuff, the Back on the Block stuff for Quincy. And all that stuff. But, you know, again, we were just happy to be in a basement trying to work on some music.
No, amazing.
No
hey,
doubt.
and this is, I want to tell you one of my favorite collaborations, and I love is the thing you did with Eero. The thing that you did with Eero was incredible, man. That Eric Roberson joint. Oh my God, yeah. The summertime anthem. Oh my God, man.
We got another 2 records together now that we're gonna be mixing now and try and put it back out there too. Because Eric Rose, like us, he's independent.
Another one, yeah.
Yeah, he's independent.
Magnificent.
He runs all his own stuff. He's not an ego guy.
I've met him many times, man. He's another brother, like you said. Yeah.
Yeah, great guy. And then we just did a song with Jeff. We did a song with Jeff Bradshaw.
That dog that's a bone playing fool, man.
Yeah.
That's a bone playing fool.
We did a song with him
the last time.
We did a song with him that he's just about to throw out now with me, him, and Jazzy Jeff. It's a great record, and that's why I don't believe in artists thinking that we are supposed to have some kind of expiration date,
right,
of when you can't make music no more. I think that's ridiculous. You know,
I know.
I think it's ridiculous because you go to these young girls, SZA and Ella Mai, and these beautiful, incredible singers. But they know if Patti LaBelle walk on stage with them,
they bow down. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I don't see why they would think that hip hop is anything different, man. It's not a perishable skill. You know, It's like if you love it and
you got it. Yeah.
You keep doing it. So
yeah,
I get a little upset when a lot of the brethren won't continue to make that music, you know, especially because I'm fans of theirs. I want to hear that music. I want to hear them do their music, because even now with the young boys, racism is even stronger now.
Yes.
And Corona, but no one is time stamping on music what's going on. Hip hop always time stamped. You always knew the era and what happened with a record when you listen to a hip hop song back in the day.
Yeah.
So if the young boys won't timestamp what's going on now, why can't the legends go and timestamp it? I don't get the reason why not. I mean, music is music.
Right.
We got to come together on that. That's a good point, though. You got to. Right. I mean, that's probably one of the most profound points made. That there is nothing that has a kind of documented musically the times that we're living in right now, because there's so much other stuff going on with the younger cats. And where their vision is for, the music. I think that, there might be something in that, sir, Mr. Richard, sir.
Yeah.
There might be something in there, man.
We would need to do that, man, because again, it's just music, man.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, I mean, I'm not opposed to it. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
Yeah, well, it's all good. I was gonna say, and Chubb, I have to commend you, because it haven't been one time, man, since we've been knowing each other, that every time we got together, you haven't told me, yo, Hen, you still working on your music? You still producing? You still working on your music? You've gotten on me that every time you gotten on me about it.
Because you always was brilliant with your music, and how we met was because of music. And I'm like, okay, I always know this guy for doing his music. And, there's no time when you're not supposed to do your music, man. Like, it's funny. I want to do an album. I want to do an album with some brothers, but I want it to be a different kind of album. I want to do an album in which, if we do a song, I want us to do that song with the materials you had when you first started.
See, like reel to reel in the whole 9 yards? You talking about
whatever it was that you
editing
used
with the editing, with the tape and all of that? You talking about doing it like that?
Everything
In the studio, in the studio with everybody in the studio and that whole setup?
Everything that you used to make your original records. Because here's the thing.
That'd be incredible.
It isn't all about whether or not lightning can strike twice. But it's more of a historic piece, right? So it's music too, fine. Music, you can dance, but it's a historic piece, right? So it's almost like, and I really take this to heart. So when they talk about the Beatles, right?
Right.
When they talk about the Beatles, they always talk about the studio that they used, which is called Abbey Road.
Abbey Road, yeah.
They make software to emulate.
They make software dedicated to this studio.
Yes,
yeah.
They got people that were spending serious amounts of money just to record there because of these guys, right? You got Daryl Hall from Hall & Oates, who has his studio filled with old DBX compressors, and then you can go to his house and jam with him. Yeah. Right? One of my favorites is with him and the OJs and stuff.
I saw that.
That was dope.
So I'm trying to figure out, how come we can't have that? Why can't we have that? When we get together and we say, well, okay, me and the Sugar Hill going to do a song. I came in the game because of them. We're going to go down memory lane while we're making the song and get that same sound of what they were using. And then so if Master G says, yo, Rich, well, we used this 4-track reel-to-reel back then. I don't know if that's what's going to really rock now. Brother, if it rocked and sold 30 million records on that record and that record still booms now, why can't we just go and do the same thing? So I'm a hoarder, by the way. I'm a hoarder. By the way.
I see that.
My wife will tell you that she has monumental problems with me. But here's the thing. When I used to make my demos, we used to make them on this thing here.
Wow.
Oh, damn. So Porter Studio joint.
Crazy.
So you put your two cassettes here. So the first cassette is a 6-track.
Right.
And then you mixed it to this cassette.
Wow.
Oh my God.
That's amazing. Chubb, and it's still in working mint condition, still working?
Yeah. Ice Cube started with this. I got 3 of them.
Wow.
Because I was like, yo, at the end of the day, I told Howie, I said, listen, man, we need to do a record when we go back to what we originally used. Like when we did Treat 'Em Right, our sampler for Treat 'Em Right wasn't no S950 and some extreme piece of machinery. I mean, we didn't have money to be spending money like that. Our sampler for Treat 'Em Right was this.
Oh my God. Electro-harmonics?
It sampled exactly 3 seconds. So you had to speed the song up real fast to get that sample on there. You know what I'm saying? So
that's amazing, man.
When we did the Trackmaster stuff, most of our records on a board side was done with this Tascam right here.
Oh wow, Tascam Diamond! I
just threw that away. That's Rob's. That's the one that one just went in the trash.
Now I know what a Tascam is. Wow.
So at the end of the day, Treat 'Em Right, the bass line was played really from a boombox keyboard.
What?
Oh, look at that.
A boombox keyboard.
I don't even remember that one.
That's the first time I've ever seen anything like that. That's incredible.
Yeah. A lot of the Caribbean cats used to use that keyboard to play those deep, very deep Caribbean bass lines. So, my thing is technology. Of course, they got software and they got all this other kind of stuff. You can mix your record in your room. But at the end of the day, you can still do that now. And I just think there's a percentage of people that want to know what was the magic behind Rapper's Delight. Because let me tell you, it's not an easy thing for a song to last 40 years.
Hello.
Right? It's not an easy thing. Yes, the Beatles got songs lasting 60 years and all these other kind of records. But when you're dealing with hip hop, to have songs that last 40 years is not some easy thing. So people would probably want to know, so what was the magic on that song? Like what exactly was the magic of that song? Whether it was
that's a good question.
The real, or did you guys use one of them Soundcraft boards?
Bro, that was major studio for
that was 16 tracks, 16
track joints.
16 the big board, right, Diamond?
2-inch reels,
right?
Old boards, old studio. This was Sugarhill Sound, where they recorded the moments at, Chubb.
Yeah, same place the moments cut. Same, all that doo-wop stuff, all that R&B stuff. We cut Rapper's Delight in that same studio.
But we can just to prove your point, when it was time to update, to put a new board in, it was a big debate down at the studio because half of us didn't want to get rid of the board because so many hits were done. It was a personality, a certain persona. It was so many hits done on the board that they didn't want to bring a new one.
And it wasn't a SSL. It was a. I want to say it was a Trident.
Yeah,
I don't know what it was. I wasn't.
Trident Series 80B.
Trident is a legendary board.
Yes,
Trident
sir.
is a legendary board.
And it wasn't automated or nothing. I believe it was a Trident.
It's like when I had this conversation with Charlie Wilson not too long ago, and he was talking about how back then
he recorded on that board.
You had to do the song from the beginning to the end. There ain't no punch-ins.
Right.
There ain't no I could do the hook and then you can repeat it.
Right.
No. It's a different kind of recording and it's almost
I'd love to do a project like that.
Yeah, because even Drake found it like that. Canadians have that kind of history. When he did that song Marvin's Room, right? He wanted to try to channel an inspiration from a Marvin Gaye. Let me go back to Hitsville and just walk in the room and see if I can get the spirit of him into me to come up with a song. But, everybody wants to be able to go into a time and say, how was it that you made this record? What exactly were the ingredients? Because if I can get those ingredients, can I still make that same feel good record with that ingredient? It's the reason why DJ Premier refused to do songs without that board that was at D&D Studios, to the point where he had to buy the board because he knew that all his hits came from this board.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying? I remember going to Paisley Park. We had a show in the 90s in Minneapolis. This is how ignorant we were back in them days. We go to Minneapolis and this guy picks us up and he says, "Oh, I'm taking you guys to Prince's house." And we're like, "Prince who?" And he's like, "The singer Prince." And I'm like,
"Purple one."
I'm like, "You're taking us to his? How is that possible? Like, what's going on with that?" And he was like, "No, he wants you to come to his house." I said, "He wants me to come to his house?" He was like, "No, he wants you to come to his house." So we go to his house. This is us and me and the Trackmasters, because Pokey was DJing and Swinger and everybody. So we're in this white van going way out into the boondocks of Minneapolis to this big white house. And we get in there and the guy said, "Yo, Chubb, Prince wants y'all to check these studios out and see what you think." So we go and we check out his rooms. Right? We check out his studio rooms and we're like, "Yo, this is incredible. I never even seen this thing." He had a Harrison board in one of them.
Woo!
And I'm like, what kind of stuff is this? This is ridiculous. He had a room for the drum machines. And I'm like, this guy got every drum machine on the planet. Then we go into this other room. And this room is like the ghetto room. It's like some old equipment and Stuff looked like it's being broken down and this and that. I'm like, what kind of room is this? And he said, well, let me tell you what happened, man. He paid Phil Collins to create all 3 of these rooms. But he didn't like the last room. So he took everything out. He donated it to a school in Minneapolis, music school. And he brought the stuff from out of his crib, his personal house that he grew up in. He brought that stuff into that room.
Prince brought the stuff from his house?
His stuff.
So the stuff that was in that room that was tore up. That was
the stuff that he grew up using. And the funny stuff was, I was like, yo, so who uses this room? He said he uses it because that's where he makes his records. I said, he makes his records in this room instead of these other rooms? And he was like, he makes his stuff in that room because that's where the magic for him is. Later on, because the story gets real funny because after like 2 hours, after us playing with everything in there, we're like, yo, my man, where is he? Like, we've been here for 4 hours. Is he going to like descend from the sky or whatever? Like, what's going on with him? Oh, he's in England. And I'm like, England?
What?
So I'm like, why the hell are we here? And he was like, he knows that you guys are producers and he wanted y'all to see the rooms. And I'm like, but we can't even say nothing to him. He ain't here. And I'm like, I don't understand this. I told my mom I'm coming to meet him. And we laughed about it years after that, but we didn't realize, we're so ignorant, that the show that we were doing that night was his club.
Oh, wow.
So we're not even thinking like, yo, how did he even know we coming into town? It's his club. So it wasn't until maybe a year later at Arsenio Hall in the back, because him and Arsenio was real friends, good friends. Yeah. I came to do Arsenio Hall and then I seen him and he's laughing at me because I'm telling Arsenio the story. And I'm like, yo, I told my mom I'm coming to see him and he's rolling. Prince is rolling. And, I'm about to choke him. But if we did something like that,
I love it.
Where we create as much as we can, obviously, but create what that record was or how that record came to be sonically.
Yeah.
Just like a Rick Rubin record. How did you do Rock the Bells exactly? Yeah. What did you use? Where were you? Yeah. When you did that record, and we do something there, and so it's more of an ode to the equipment.
I got you.
And how we had to manipulate that equipment. Yeah.
I'm with it.
Young guys can simulate it with a plugin.
Right.
But for us, how do we manipulate the equipment to get that desired feel of a record that's been rocking since '79? Like, rap records expiration date is a couple of months.
Right, exactly. Right.
Chubb, if you go to Europe and England, a lot of those musicians, I took, we've been spending summers in Europe, and I spent a lot of time with the musicians that are out there, and these guys, that's what they're predominant. They look for the oldest stuff they can find, that's obscure, and they figure out how to use it. That's why, if you notice, they've gone back to actual pieces of gear, plug-in gear, modular gear, where they're building sound again. Whereas, look at what's my man's name? One of the biggest dance artists. That's all he makes it sound. He has to create sound. So he goes.
Oh, you talking about the Trevor guy? You talking about
the dude with the big mouse head? You know what I'm saying?
Oh, Depeche Mode.
No, not Depeche Mode.
No, not the
big mouse. He comes out in the big mouse head.
Not Daft Punk.
Dead Mouse.
Dead Mouse. Yeah.
This dude creates strictly from air, from pink noise, from white noise, and he creates it. He sculpts sound and then gets it to where he needs it to go. The other artists that a lot of these kids are digging for old stuff. Back in the day, I got rid of a suitcase Fender Rhodes 88. Right now, that is such a coveted piece of equipment, that you can't find it for under around $2,000. You go find an old MS Korg or something like that, man, please. You can't
See,
find
what
that.
happens is we tend to give away our culture. We tend to either give it away or say, oh, we don't need it anymore. We're going to move to the new joint. We're going to move to the new joint. But in Asia and, like you said, Europe, they're like, no. We want the magic of that record.
Yep.
And the only way we can channel that is we're going to have to go through the same challenges of those artists that use that equipment.
Right.
And had those same challenges, but creatively worked around the limitations to make
came
that
out with
song. Because Hen knows if you have an SP1200, SP1200 only sampled for 2.5 seconds.
Right.
So it is like you could have done a whole 4-bar loop, 5-bar, 6-bar loop with an SP1200. So you had to find a creative way to get that loop done. You know? Yeah. I showed you what we did Treat 'Em Right with the sampler with that one button push there. Right. So at the end of the day, but if you still have those limitations, because think about guys in jail, unfortunately. Most creative people on the planet.
Yeah.
Because you've taken away certain things that people would take for granted.
Right.
And now they have to create how they're going to do it. Oh, I want to play chess. I'm going to sculpt the pieces out of soap.
Right.
I remember watching a documentary. There was a guy using regular scraps in jail and made his own guitars to the point that people, Paul McCartney and a bunch, Eric Clapton, they were buying his guitars while he's in prison.
That's crazy.
You know what I'm saying? So for us as hip hop artists, and you can tell, because I listen to those, I listen to a bunch of these pop records. I listen to a bunch of these EDM records. Right, and they want to get that same old school hip hop feel. They all want it because it's all in their records.
Oh yeah.
And they're wondering, yo, how come my thing is not sounding exactly like the Sugar Hill records times and exactly like Curtis Blow, or how come we weren't able to get that warmth,
same exact feel? Yeah, that same warmth, feel.
Yeah, of a Grandmaster Flash Furious 5 record, or
right.
But they want that style. They want that style. So, but for us, we give it away. We sit there and go, no, we're moving on to the new joint. We don't need that no more. We're gonna go move on to the new joint. It's like, as you think you're moving on to the new joint, people that are winning all the Grammy, they're going back to the old joint.
Yeah. Nah.
And they're collecting that stuff. They're collecting the lexicons. And why do you think vinyl is back now?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Because people don't want to hear that kind of overly clean music. I want to hear that gamble and huff music.
Yeah, just
if you think about it,
every
software you have, what does it have? A vinyl emulation.
Yeah.
First, I want to emulate nothing.
We gotta keep it positive. We gotta keep it going, and because we could be here for like hours talking like about this. First of all, let me just say this so we can put this out there. Chubb, I'm 100% on board. Whatever it is that you want to do, we can figure it out. I don't care. Let's make it happen.
Make it happen.
Let's do it.
Hey, Chubb, for your collection.
What is that?
Oh yeah, I got one of those.
That's what I was talking about.
Yeah, I got one of those.
With the plunger.
Yeah, that's the joint. That's the joint. If you sold enough candy in school, you can get that.
You go.
Really? Wow.
I was talking about projects. You know I had
it. Yeah.
Talk about some of the stuff that you do have going on in present day, though, real quick before we roll up out of here, because I just want to make sure that you get all the exposure that you deserve and that you're entitled to, because you're an amazing person, and I think so. And I just want to say that. So what you up? I know you got the radio show. What else you got going on?
Man, our main thing is the syndicated radio show, syndicated morning show, the Chubb Rock show with Five-Man Baby.
Yeah, tell everybody.
Yeah, my brother, no doubt.
How many markets are you in right now?
Right now with that show, we're in 10 markets. We are very excited about the show.
Good. Happy for you.
Very excited about the show. We got my Digging in the Crate show is in 40 markets.
Good.
And the Caribbean syndicated shows in 6 markets. I do not work for anybody. You know, own the shows, and we are just trying to do what we can, even especially during the pandemic when you know, advertising is down, everything is down. But again, we do the shows also because we love talking to our people, just like how you guys are doing the podcast.
Exactly, same thing.
People love you know, you want to talk to your people, you want to see what's going on out there, you want to learn from them, maybe they can learn from us.
Right.
And you know, so that's my main thing. And then we still do music, man. You know, Howie just hit me the other day with a song that a track that he wanted me to do. I just did that. Eric Robeson is on that record.
All right.
So I mean, Howie, I guess, is going to start mixing that record now. We got the Jeff Bradshaw record coming out. Another Albie Shore record.
Good.
A record
Wonderful.
with Christopher Williams coming out.
Whoa!
Oh, yeah. My boy Chris coming with another record.
Hold up, though.
We had to force him, man. We had to force him. Like, yo, you know, you can't let that voice go to waste, man. You got to go out there and keep doing your craft.
What's up, G?
No, I you know me about that. You know, I'm all about the entrepreneur thing. Y'all know that. You know what I mean? Of course, you know, during my sabbatical away from the music, I built businesses in the whole 9 yards. And when I came back into the situation with the group, that was the first thing that we were, you know, working to establish our own entity. Speak to people, man, because people need to know about ownership, owning or like you said, you own the show outright, man. Talk to the people about the importance of that, man, because that's super critical, especially for our people. You know what I mean?
I mean, you could tell from right now, you know, ownership will always be a roller coaster, right? You're going to have some ups, you're going to have some downs, you'll have some great years, some okay years, bad years, but it's still you. You don't have to worry about it. Oh, I wore the wrong shirt today, I can get fired. Or I said something differently in a different tone, they fired me. You know, this is your destiny that you can create for yourself and for your family, and something that you can then hand over. You know, I always got a kick out of watching old TV shows and hearing, you know, the grandfather saying, well, this all belongs to you guys. I'm getting older now. I'm going to go and relax now. And you guys split this up and continue the legacy. And that's what we need to always do, is to continue those legacies. You know, yes, of course, you know, the narrative has always been in America, hey, man, go to school, you get some kind of profession, you go and get yourself a job. Obviously, that was always the narrative. But in a Caribbean culture, which is how I was raised, our thing was not necessarily education, but a skill. You know, are you going to learn a skill? You know, are you going to learn carpentry, masonry?
Right. My grandfather's Jamaican. My grandmother, my grandfather, my father's side Jamaican. So I know what you're talking about. And he was a carpenter.
Mechanic? Are you going to be a mechanic? Are you going to be a plumber?
Yep.
You know, you can go to school. Like, definitely go to school. But in the Caribbean world, you're going to school for self-knowledge. Hey, I want to learn about this. Okay. And that's one thing. But saying that you're going to school for a job were not really the things that went together in a Caribbean household.
Yeah, you're right.
Of course, if you're going to be a doctor or a lawyer, of course. But for the most part, it's all about a skill. So because a skill, at that point, you invest in yourself, and then you have your own business because you have a skill.
Right.
You have a skill. So if you're a plumber, you can have your own plumbing business because you have a skill.
Exactly. Right.
Look at what's going on now with these companies. They're furloughing everybody.
Yep.
Right. They're not turning around and saying, okay, CEO, you're making a $35 million bonus. We won't give you a bonus this year because it's a bad year. We'll take that money to pay the workers. They're not thinking that. They're furloughing the workers, and then this guy keeps his bonus. So it doesn't make a difference if you believed in entrepreneurship before. It doesn't make a difference if you believed in it. You have no choice now because the word job won't exist in another year. That word job won't exist.
That's right.
This was the experiment right here. Everybody working from home. Oh, wait a second. People are even more creative at home. They're not going to let you back in that building because now they don't have to pay for brick and mortar.
Nobody wants to pay for the bricks. No.
They don't want to pay for brick and mortar. So at the end of the day, if you don't have,
all that goes away.
All that goes away. So if you don't have your own thought process now on how you're going to be an entrepreneur, you're going to starve to death, because the whole thought process of, well, when this is over, I'm just going to go back to my job. And nurses will have a job. Doctors will have a job. Lab technicians will have a job. CNAs will have a job. These are jobs that are definite. Okay? They're going to definite jobs there.
Yep.
But all these other things, they ain't going to be no job. You know, my son had an issue with his car, and he was like, yo, Pop, man, I got to take my car to go do this. Yo, my man, go to YouTube University and go learn how to fix that maneuver.
Right. I feel you.
And you go and fix it, and you might not do it perfect that time.
Right.
But then you start to say, wait a second, but I kind of did it.
Right.
It might not be as neat as a mechanic, but
and Chubb, the more they do it, the better they'll get at it.
It's what it is, man, because you can't sit up there and depend on, you see what's going on with this administration.
Yeah.
This guy is wilding out, talking about he doesn't want to sign a stimulus package and this and that for businesses. Yeah. You see restaurants are closing.
Yep.
No one is making any money. Yep. You know, and it's hurt our business of performance.
Oh, I definitely know that. Yeah.
Killer.
And let me tell you, it's funny because G had asked me what I was doing, something I really want to try to do. And I'm going to probably need help from you guys as friends.
Say it. Without question.
Right. See, what happened, what I found out, I've gotten a couple of offers to do some virtual homecomings. Mm-hmm. The problem I see with it is because homecomings now is just a bunch of alumni coming together and saying, hey, man, do you think we could pay Sugarhill Gang, or do you think we could pay Chubb to do a little something virtually? Keep the spirit of the school going. It ain't going to work. No. What I think should happen is we all get together and do one virtual homecoming. Homecoming 2020. We do it, and all the HBCUs can tap from that virtual, where we can break the internet, right? With alumni and everything, 10, 12 million people. With this one homecoming that everybody will plug into, and the money made from that homecoming, give it to the students.
Wow.
Because they're going to have monumental issues
coming up
with paying back for school, because in all these stimulus packages, they're not talking about anything about debt relief from college.
Right.
So if we can do something like that, for us, right? It's the FUBU method, right? For us,
why us? Yes, man.
Right.
If we can do something like that, where we get a bunch of the brethren together on the hip hop side, and maybe get a couple of comedians that might want to interject in between, and we do one homecoming, one.
Okay.
And the schools tap in.
Yeah, I'm good.
The money raised to the students.
Totally.
To scholarships, to supplies for virtual learning.
Yeah.
Then we can sit there and go, wow. A Rapper's Delight, Eighth Wonder, a Treat 'em Right, The Rhythm, Kwame. These songs, we can say we helped our students.
Yeah. Oh man. Yeah.
And for anybody that was a student like I was, who ain't have no money, okay, we were buying off-brand tuna fish. Okay, then you kind of know the struggle. So if we can do something like that as brethren, then I think that's what we need to try to attempt.
Chubb, listen to me. And again, I'm gonna say this on record. Okay. Again, you've always been a visionary when it comes to so many different things. And you and I know personally, even we've attempted to pull the trigger on a few different things. We just haven't been able to transition it. But at the end of the day, man, I believe in you wholeheartedly, and I'm sure the rest of the crew feels the same way. So, it's just a matter of logistics, man. We just got to figure it out. I mean, it's not if we can, it's when we can. You know what I'm saying? So I'm cool with it.
Yeah, we need to do that, man.
All right.
So that's something that's on my mind to do something like that, and the rest of it, man. I just want us to be heard more. I want the legends to be heard more, man. I want to see more documentaries.
Yeah.
On hip hop. It's funny. The documentaries on hip hop on Netflix, it shocks me. It's like you're playing 11th grade trigonometry and you ain't start from addition. Ooh. You can't do trigonometry if you ain't start with addition.
You got to start with addition.
Addition and subtraction, multiplication, you can't get the trigonometry.
It's not going to happen.
So how are you doing all your different hip hop kind of things on Netflix, and you ain't really start from the beginning?
Great. Talk about it.
That's my problem. Now, I don't really know them people over there at Netflix.
They're right. We don't either.
I don't really know them people. But to me, you guys had your own thing on Netflix, though. You guys had your thing on Netflix.
Well, yeah, but that was through RLJ. That was through Robert Johnson's company. We didn't deal with them directly. That was coming through. That was through channels. You know what I'm saying? RLJ picked up the film, and then he made the deal with Netflix and got it on Netflix. We need to go direct to Netflix. You know what I'm saying?
So, we don't have nothing against whatever you've been doing.
Right.
Like they had a whole thing on Netflix about the fashion of hip hop.
I saw that. Yeah.
And I'm like, yo, you missing a whole bunch of people from this.
Yeah. Right. It didn't go nowhere near where we was at. It just did like, the other stuff. And then the Uptown thing. And, they talked about that and a couple of the stylists and all. I saw it, Chuck. I saw it.
And I'm like, listen, man.
Right.
Let's try to, if you're going to tell these stories, really tell these stories, because all these practitioners are still on the planet.
That's right.
Yeah.
Which is rare because in the form of music, in most forms of music from the birth stages, that's not the case. This is like one of the very few forms of music that are as meteoric as it is, that the birth people are still able and tangible and feasible to be able to come in and say, yeah, well, I was absolutely there when it was, like you said, when there was nobody to look at and say, I want to be like so-and-so because I was so-and-so. You know what I mean? Right. I'm so-and-so, everybody talking about being like me, you know what I mean? There's not very many people that can sit down and even say that and it be true. You know what I'm saying? So yes, I'm with you, brother. You got
the people that can give you that knowledge here. So I think it's just we're not tapped into the way we should be tapped into, especially if you really want to give the full story.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Because I think about stuff like, I'm sure you guys have seen this. Which is interesting. Again, we don't really get a chance to express ourselves, but it does make an impact. So if you remember the album cover for Slick Rick's Great Adventures of Slick Rick, and if you don't remember the cover, Rick wrote a book, basically like a children's book based on that song. And here's the book.
Oh, wow.
Right.
Oh, wow.
So
Okay.
it's his song, children's story, but for kids, right? Because it has everything from that rhyme, drawn out in a, I apologize.
Yep.
Drawn out in a, hold on.
Please put that back on.
Yeah, I just I pressed the button by mistake. So, you know, it has the cartoon stuff drawn out, right?
Wow.
But what happens is, so you have his cover. Everybody remembers from the album. He used the same cover for the book.
Yeah.
But Marvel Comics did a Spider-Man version taking the album cover.
Wow.
Now.
So whenever you think that nobody's watching,
somebody's always
they're watching us all the time.
Mm.
Right? Because there's going to be a generation of kids that buy this Spider-Man comic book that don't even know who Slick Rick is.
Yep.
But here's his inspiration, their inspiration right here.
Yep.
Right there. Yeah.
And it ain't like it's the first time for us to be associated with a Marvel comic book, because Kid and Play had their own comic books through Marvel.
And today, look at the shirt that I have on today.
But there you go.
Marvel.
That's God's work.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
So
it is.
I'm just saying, we believe that people ain't watching us and our influence, but
it's out there.
They are watching. They are watching it hard. I just seen this thing where, was it Panasonic is going to come out with a whole line of boom boxes. And I'm like, why are you trying to come up with boom boxes? Like, who's supposed you're trying to recapture the 80s.
Mm-hmm.
That's what you're trying to recap. Oh, well, it's going to have Bluetooth. It's going to have that. I'm like, forget all about that. You're still taking it off of this.
We have a company that did that.
I got one right here in my den. I got one of those boxes in my den right now.
Yeah.
I can't do the flip like you, everybody. So I'm not even messing around. But I got it. I got the box. But anyway, no. Listen again. Oh yeah, Hen, show the box. That's it right there. That's the new version of what you got in your house right now, Chubb. That's like the updated version
with
that's
Bluetooth and
ready
everything
and all of that, man. Yeah, man.
Yeah, I can't see it yet. I don't see Hen.
Oh, Hen, show it to him one more time.
Oh, can you see it?
See it?
Oh
see
yeah,
it?
yeah. Oh
right
yeah, yeah. Oh yeah, the bump box.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah,
the bump box. Yeah. See, what happened is that they really wanted to mimic.
Yeah,
they wanted to mimic this Jam Master Jay Run DMC one.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Wow,
and
that's incredible.
Maybe even the triple cassette one.
God.
Or the micro cassette one.
Wow.
Or the smallest boombox ever made, with Panasonic making this one.
Oh my gosh.
Lord.
So, man, hey, look, man, listen, I'm saying we got to do more than just this time, man. I mean, we got to roll, man. We got to roll.
We're going to have to see Chubb in the studio. You know how it's going.
Chubb, man, listen, seriously, this has been amazing, incredible. I really appreciate you coming on, man, and we got to get together and make it happen.
Got to.
So wonderful. So thank you. So yeah, man. Thanks so much, Chubb. Oh my God.
I appreciate you guys, man. Appreciate you,
man.
Just for the podcast, man. But when you inspire people, that's great, man. When you inspired a sixth grader, and a sixth grade, because I was in Mr. Epstein's class, man, and you inspired so many people to say, man, I wonder if I can do that. I wonder if I can do what he's doing and what they are doing. And I just got to say thank you for that, man. And I appreciate you guys.